Many jobs and hobbies require excellent vision, and glasses and contacts can be a hindrance. Imagine being able to wake up and see the alarm clock or see distant faces in the crowd, play golf, tennis, swim, or ski without depending on corrective eyewear. Hi, I'm Dr. Cory Lessner, and I'd like to thank you for considering SightTrust for your vision correction experience. In about the same amount of time it would take for me to correct your vision, I will explain how the eye works, how lasers help individuals to see more clearly, and finally, how we determine who is a candidate. Sight is our most valued sense, so it should come as no surprise that most people are scared to death of what I do. But when patients sit up immediately after their treatment with big smiles on their face or happy tears, they say things like, "Is that it? Wow, I can see, and why didn't I do this sooner?" This is because even the most informed patients are amazed at how easy and painless modern all-laser LASIK is. In fact, studies have shown these procedures are actually safer than long-term use of contact lenses. If LASIK is the airline flight for people who are afraid of flying, then contacts are the highway drive to and from the airport with people texting all around you. It's likely that you're afraid of the wrong thing. In the time that it takes you to watch this video, some people will lose some or all of their vision permanently as a result of infections caused by the improper care of their contacts. So I invite you to join the millions before you who now enjoy a visual freedom that was previously unimaginable. What would your life be like if you didn't have to depend on glasses or contacts to see the world more clearly? I hope to show you have nothing to be afraid of. When light enters the eye, it is bent or refracted by a clear, strong tissue at the surface called the cornea. It then passes through the natural lens of the eye and comes to focus on the film called the retina. Refractive errors occur when the cornea and lens do not bring the objects being viewed into focus. In nearsightedness, also known as myopia, light entering the eye focuses at a point in front of the retina. Nearsightedness occurs when the eye is too long or when the cornea is too steep. Distant objects appear blurry while near objects are in focus. Since the eye cannot be shortened, lasers to correct myopia work by flattening the center of the cornea. In farsightedness or hyperopia, light entering the eye focuses behind the retina. Farsightedness occurs in eyes that are either too short or when the cornea is too flat. Objects nearby appear blurry while distant objects are clear. With age, distance vision is affected as well. Surgery to correct hyperopia works by making the central cornea relatively steeper. With astigmatism, the problem is not the length of the eye, but the fact that the cornea contains different curvatures and is shaped more like a football than like a basketball. As a result, objects are not clearly focused and vision is somewhat blurry at any distance. Astigmatism often occurs in combination with myopia or hyperopia. Finally, presbyopia, literally old vision, is the inability to see near objects when distant vision is normal. Beginning in the mid-40s, progressive hardening of the natural lens of the eye occurs and results in its inability to change shape to focus on near objects. Since the excimer laser treats the cornea, it cannot directly correct presbyopia. Instead, we create nearsightedness in the non-dominant eye, a strategy called monovision. One can only know if they like monovision through a demonstration. If you are over the age of 40, a trial of this option will be performed as part of your evaluation. About half the world's population requires assistance to see more clearly. For centuries, the only way to correct these problems was with glasses, and more recently, contact lenses. In the late 1980s, scientists began to look at the excimer laser, designed by IBM to etch computer chips, as an alternative without causing any damage to adjacent tissues. Its cool ultraviolet beam works by breaking molecular bonds, vaporizing tissue a fraction of a micron at a time. In fact, the excimer is so accurate that it takes about 200 pulses just to etch through a single strand of human hair. The first trials with the excimer were conducted in the US in 1988, and in 1995, the FDA approved its use for low to moderate myopia. Now, 3 decades later, with today's newer technologies, we're able to correct a broader range of visual errors with greater accuracy, safety, and speed than ever before. There are 2 locations on the cornea that can be treated, just under the surface or in its middle layers. The original procedures approved by the FDA were performed just under the surface and were called photorefractive keratectomy, or PRK. During PRK, the cornea's protective surface layer, or epithelium, is removed prior to the sculpting with the laser. Variants of PRK, such as epi-LASIK or LASIK, differ only in their attempt to preserve the epithelium, which is reflected back before the treatment. For purposes of this video, we will refer to all of these surface treatments collectively as PRK. In the early 90s, surgeons in Europe combined the accuracy of the excimer with the comfort and rapid rehabilitation of a flap-creating procedure developed in Colombia. When the laser is used to remove tissue from the cornea's middle layers, it's called LASIK, an acronym for Laser-Assisted In Situ Keratomileusis. The procedure involves 2 steps. In the first, the surgeon creates a hinged flap of corneal tissue, and in the second, the flap is folded back and the excimer, as in PRK, is used to resculpt the cornea. The flap is floated back in place and heals without the need for stitches. To illustrate the difference, consider a 400-page book with a 50-page thick cover. In PRK, the cover of the book is removed or folded back. The first pages in the book are removed and the cover is allowed to grow back. In LASIK, the cover and the first 70 or so pages are folded back on the binding. The middle pages of the book are removed and the cover and front pages are repositioned. Both procedures ultimately achieve excellent results. However, LASIK is preferred by most because it offers faster visual recovery measured in hours rather than days, greater comfort, and statistically better outcomes. In addition, if laser retreatment is required, the existing flap is simply relifted, whereas with PRK, the procedure, with its longer healing time, must be repeated. When it was first introduced in the US, flap creation could only be accomplished with a bladed device called a microkeratome. Fortunately, in 2004, femtosecond laser technology was introduced and is now used by most non-discount providers. Since almost all of the risk associated with LASIK occurred during flap creation, femtosecond technology has not only improved overall precision, it has also effectively eliminated most of the complications. A femtosecond is 1/4 of a second. Put this in perspective, light from the sun circles around the Earth 8 times in 1 second, but only once around a human hair in a femtosecond. During the procedure, 500,000 pulses are delivered every second at a specific depth in the cornea, about 1/8 of a millimeter below the surface. When approximately 8 million of these pulses are interconnected, a flap of incredibly precise, uniform thickness is created. Because femtoflaps are thinner, smaller in diameter, and spare more of the fine nerves associated with corneal sensation, patients typically experience less dryness postoperatively. In addition, patients with thinner corneas who were not previously candidates may now be, since the thinner flaps leave more tissue in the cornea bed for sculpting. If you looked into LASIK years ago and were told that your corneas were too thin for treatment, you may now be a candidate. Following flap creation, patients are positioned under Alcon's EX500, featuring the fastest excimer laser delivery system available in the world today at 500 pulses per second. It also features an incredibly precise high-speed tracker, which samples eye movements 1,000 times per second. It takes only 1/500th of a second to reposition its pulses, so it doesn't matter if you move your eyes. Because it is 25 times faster than older systems, its beam size can be much smaller, and the energy delivered more uniform. This produces smoother treatments, which in turn improve the quality of vision and patient satisfaction. Finally, the EX500 incorporates a treatment feature which helps to reduce or eliminate glare, halos, and other nighttime visual artifacts that were problematic in patients with larger pupils when LASIK was first introduced. In 2017, another laser corneal sculpting option became available for nearsighted individuals. SMILE is an acronym for Small Incision Lenticular Extraction. As in femtoflap creation, millions of laser pulses are placed in a circular pattern inside of the cornea. However, rather than creating a side cut to complete a flap, a second pass of femtopulses is delivered, about 12 million in total, to create a disc of tissue inside the cornea. Its shape is comparable to the amount of tissue removed during the second step in LASIK. The laser then makes a small connecting side cut tunnel to access the disc through which it is removed and discarded. The center of the cornea flattens and corrects the prescribed amount of nearsightedness. Because no flap is created, SMILE offers an alternative for those at high risk of eye trauma, and since there's no flap, it spares even more of the corneal nerves responsible for reflex steering, and so may be preferable in those with existing significant dry eye issues. By now, it should be apparent the technology we use today bears little resemblance to what we used 20 years ago. Laser flap creation, vastly improved speed, delivery systems, and beam quality, high-speed tracking, and blended treatments have completely transformed LASIK. If you walked into a cellular store looking to purchase a new generation smartphone, you wouldn't expect to be offered an iPhone 10. Unlike the mobile industry, though, ours has failed to inform the public about advances in LASIK with something as simple as a version or name change. To complicate matters, it's still possible to find an old and/or bladed version of LASIK on the cheap in centers throughout the country, but in doing so, you will be unsuspectingly sacrificing visual quality and safety to save money. To help make treatments more affordable, we offer 0 down, 0% 24-month financing. This calculates to about $210 per month or $7 per day. It's also important to consider, though, that this cost isn't occurring in a vacuum and is offset by ongoing eye care expenses. If you wear contacts, the monthly cost for supplies is around $40 or roughly $500 annually. Since most will also require backup glasses, one typically spends about $4,000 over a 5-year period and will have similar costs to look forward to over the subsequent 5. In effect, you're already perpetually financing your vision correction needs. For the additional cost of a cup of coffee, you could be enjoying lens-free living. Even though most are good ocular candidates for LASIK, ultimately, your expectations will determine how satisfied you are with your overall experience and result. So while most patients feel comfortable driving a car by the very next morning, and more than 50% report that their vision is already better than it ever was with glasses or contacts, you are not a statistic, and it may take you longer for your vision to stabilize. About 5% of patients may even require fine-tunings known as an enhancement to achieve their desired outcome. This is not a complication, but rather an anticipated event in a small subset of patients. One should therefore think of LASIK as a process rather than as an event, where indicated enhancements are quite easy to undergo and performed when vision is stable, typically 3 to 4 months post-operatively. During your consultation, we would be more than happy to share our outcome statistics for patients with similar prescriptions treated at our facility. To get to know us and what we do better, you can read the extensive collection of patient testimonials we've compiled at our office and visit our website at SightTrust.com. It is our hope that we've replaced your fear with knowledge. At SightTrust, we believe it's important for everyone to get the most they can out of what life has to offer. So we come to work every day committed to helping people do just that. Life wasn't meant to be viewed through a piece of glass or plastic. Life is about freedom. We know that your eyes are precious, and we look forward to providing you with a level of care and service that exceed your expectations. Instead of watching the world go by, be a part of it. On behalf of the entire team at SightTrust Eye Institute, we look forward to working with you.